Good morning. How are you guys? I'm looking for a simple filter. Yeah. And welcome to the talk of the day. Today we are talking on safe sex practices. It's in the spirit of Valentine. Like Valentine is around the corner. It's just 2 days away. So I think it's very important that we discuss the issue of safe sex. Safe sex can also be referred to as safer sexual practices. So we try to avoid the word sex because of YouTube policies and consider and refer to it as the deed. So, what are some of the practices that we can incorporate to ensure that we are having we're doing it in a safer way? The first and most important way, I believe personally, is abstinence. If you can abstain, it's the safest. Like, if you're going to put them in classes of like what is safest and what is safer, I feel and I know we can all agree that the safest sexual I'm lost. The safest sexual practice is abstinence. As in, if you're going to have, if you actually want to avoid any form of disease, any form of unplanned pregnancy, the safest way is abstinence until marriage or until you're in a committed relationship with partner who you and him or you and her are on the same page. But because in the spirit of Valentine, people are going to be doing it a lot. So we cannot avoid the fact that it will be done. So how can we make the whole experience safer? Where people get the excitement and the pleasure out of the deed, and at the same time they don't catch STDs and they don't get themselves into unplanned pregnancies. On the list, the first thing that people should make sure they do is if you find yourself in a relationship with someone, or you find yourself that you like someone and both of you are on the same page where we agree that we both like each other and we'd want to carry this relationship further, I feel the best that people can do is go to a VCT or to a medical center that's close to you and have your selves checked. Basically, to have tests for STDs and UTIs and all that. They just take some blood and some urine, very simple tests, and they don't even take long, like an hour, you'll have your results. And then at least with the results, both of you and your partner can decide like what's the way forward. In case either or has an infection, it can get treated. If both of you might have got something along the way, you could get treated together, and then you can start safe sexual practices together. So for me, I find that the best way to make sure, because you can go for using condoms, you can go for contraceptives, but if excuse me, if both of you have not don't know your status from the very word go, it could be very controversial maybe in future, because if someone gets something along the way, there'll be the whole blame casting and all that, and often it doesn't end well. And most importantly, why are you practicing safe sex? It's because you want to make sure that you are protected and your partner is protected, and the thing that is priceless, you have peace. So if you and your partner are not for the idea of like going to the VCT and or maybe the health center, I don't know how many people have access to a VCT, but if you don't feel comfortable like going to a hospital and just having this test done because maybe you're feeling shy about each other, you should know that the most important thing about the deed is that it should be consensual. Like both people should be on the same page. If somebody is engages in the deed and is feeling like there's pressure and is feeling like they're kind of bowing to like they're doing it for some other reason apart from pleasure, then it's not considered the deed. It's actually abuse, and it should be reported to the nearest authority sources. So that should completely be avoided. So in the spirit of Valentine, um, let's first talk about the most common way that people use to ensure they're having the deed safely, which is condoms. The thing about condoms is you need to always make sure that you store them well. There are some people who have the tendency of putting condoms in the glove compartment of the car. That is not a very nice place to keep the condoms, because in the car heat comes in and all that. So heat is not good for condoms. Actually, heat can destroy condoms, and I think the packaging says you should put them in a cool and dry place. So try and put them there. Then before you use them, always check for the expiry date, so that you don't want to use something that is expired, because if it's expired, then it won't work as it's supposed to work. And for those people who are feeling like they need to enhance the sensibility of a condom, they can always use lubrication, lubes, yeah, lubricants. And whichever, the best that you're supposed to use are the water-based ones, not the oil-based ones, because the oil-based ones could result into tear and breaking of the condom and all that. So if you're going to use a lubricant, you are advised to use a water-based lubricant. So what else about condoms? So I find that you should be comfortable enough to know how to open the packaging, how to open it well, that you don't rip it with your fingers, or maybe rip it with, you're going to use your teeth, rip it apart. And you should be comfortable enough, especially as women, to be able to put that condom onto your partner. If it's a female condom, you usually have it inserted in a dispensary or a clinic, and then you're supposed to, removing it is not as hard as inserting it. But if it's the male condom, as a woman, there is no shame. There is no shame. Actually, it's advised that to avoid like being caught unawares in a situation where you need a condom and you don't have one, it's advised that you have some in your bag, have some in your house, within reach. At the end of the day, we are human beings, and when the urge comes and you're with someone, you know that this someone is on the same page as you, it's not a crime to engage in the deed. So just have condoms, and always make sure that you know that the expiry date, have some water-based lubricant, and know how to actually use it. I think one of these episodes I'm going to dedicate it on how to actually, like, how you put it on and how you remove it well without getting yourself contaminated. And the thing about condom, make sure it covers the entire genital area, because if it doesn't, it still could be subject to transmission of like an STD or something. Like if the person has a rash, if the person has some ulcers, if someone has like some boils and such stuff, yeah, basically ulcers down there, a rash, it could be transmitted if the condom is not placed the right way. So the other thing about condoms, is there anything else about condoms? There is no shame. If you feel like, oh, you don't want to buy, if you're feeling shy and you don't want to go buy them over the counter, you can always purchase them online. These days we have like Maidawa. You can purchase them online. You can even purchase them from Jumuia, and they'll be delivered to your house, to your doorstep, with complete confidentiality. Like it's your little secret if it's an issue. So let's talk about contraceptives. Contraceptives are mainly, their main purpose is in case maybe the condom broke, yeah, in case maybe you engaged in unsafe sex, which is sex without a condom, with a partner who you're not very sure about their status, and maybe you are under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and you find yourself in this situation where you're like, okay, I don't know what's happening, I could be pregnant. If you're sure that your partner does not have an STD, then you can take emergency contraceptives like the e-pill and all that in the morning. You're advised to take the e-pill within the first 120 hours. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And if you're also unsure about the status of the person that you engaged in the deed with, especially this Valentine season, I'm very emphatic about this Valentine season. It's advisable to also like take PEP. PEP, you can get PEP in most VCTs. You can get PEP, and PEP itself, it's advisable to take it like 72 hours after like the deed, after having unsafe sex with someone, and you're thinking like this person could have could be HIV positive and stuff. So there are things that you need to know. that apart from condoms and okay, people know condoms and they know contraceptives, but I have learned in my few years of existence that many people do not know that they can also transmit a lot of STDs during oral sex. Oral sex is like when you're going down on someone, like BJs and CJs and kissing and anal. All these can also be subject to actually to getting other forms of transmissions, STDs. So in such cases, you're advised to use dental-dams. Many people, I don't know why people don't know about dental-dams. Dental-dams are accessible in most pharmacies and chemists, and you can also buy them online. They're placed on the top of the genitalia, like especially for females when you're giving someone oral and you're not very sure about their status, and both of you are not willing to go and confirm these things. Dental dams come in handy, especially when you're doing when you're giving when you're going down on someone, when you're going down on their like they're behind. Dental dams come in handy. So in your purse, if you have a pack of condoms, it's advisable to also have several dental dams if you're into those frictions. Kink is a thing and we can't really fight it. So about contraceptives, I find in the society, like in Europe, I discovered that many parents, when their children turn the age of like 12, 13, they go and get them on a contraceptive. It's good because it helps to avoid unplanned pregnancies. But I find that you need to know the harsh reality about contraceptives. In as much as you will not get an unplanned pregnancy, you're still very highly susceptible to catching an STD. And I think, in my opinion, an STD is worse than an unplanned pregnancy, but you really can't weigh them out because some STDs are highly treatable. But STDs like herpes, that's a long time virus that you're going to be stuck with. HIV, you're going to be stuck with that. Others that actually most of the times go undetected, which is okay. The fact that STDs, most of them have no like symptoms that are very out there, most of them. That's why you're told to actually go, you and your partner, and have yourself checked way before you engage in the deed. It's just I feel it's just the best way to avoid all this drama of thinking like what if maybe did I. It's the safest way to actually be on the safest page at the end of the day. So, in the spirit of Valentine, I ask all of you to please engage in safe sexual practices. If you can, you can begin that date by visiting a clinic and just having everything checked. Good. Then maybe you can go for a contraceptive if you are planning to have unsafe sex. Good. But if you feel like you're not very sure, condoms are always there for you. And let's have fun this Valentine season. There's nothing much to say on safe sex. I think it's very straightforward. We don't want ourselves getting these diseases because, especially for women, recurrent STDs results for actually both men and women. Recurrent STDs result in infertility, and even for women it's worse, like things like chlamydia and syphilis and gonorrhea. They affect your cervix and later could be subject to getting you cervical cancer. So STD should be like avoided as much as possible. Unplanned pregnancies, get a child when you know you can provide for this child. I am anti-abortions because life is life, even unborn life is life. So to just steer off everything, make sure you're having safe sex. So this is the video for the day. I hope you take what resonates with you, and what doesn't, leave it for someone else. Leave your comments, your suggestions, and let's see each other tomorrow as we talk about more fun things. Actually, tomorrow we're going to be talking about tips and tricks to have that night, like, yeah, because on Wednesday is Valentine. So till next time, this is Alicia. Bye bye.